Welcome back, everyone. We are here with Denham from Barossa Valley Brewing.
Cheers.
Thank you very much for having us today.
Thanks for coming.
All right. We were talking before, you said you were an investment banker. How did you go from that to this?
Yeah, I'm surprised all bankers don't go to this, right? So why wouldn't you go from banking to brewing? But the reason I did it was I was never really excited about, the pursuit of coin, right? Just what excited me. I was very lucky. I was able to be in a position at a bank where I had my own little division. So building a business was quite interesting, and I was very lucky. I got a scholarship to the US, 1990, showing my age, and that was a point when the craft brewing industry in the US was just exploding, and I was really lucky to, be able to meet with some of the, the OGs. So, Bell's Brewing, Larry Bell, 1990. It started sort of mid '80s, and he had just actually moved the brewery and started a tap room when I was 18. And so I was one of his first customers. I can remember I had this really, really bad fake ID because you had to be 21 there.
I was just going to ask you that, 18.
So I left Australia when I was 10 years old, lived all over the place, and my 4 years of high school, 4 different countries. So I actually graduated from the American Embassy School in New Delhi.
Right.
So I had this driver's license, an international driver's license. I don't know if you've ever seen international driver's licenses. There's still these really big cardboard things, right? And so I just took this and I just went to Kinko's in the US, which is sort of like an Office Works, and just really badly just doctored this. It was horrible. But nobody knew what it was. And they're like, is this a passport? I was like, yeah, it's a passport, whatever. And so it got me into bars and, more importantly, breweries like Larry's. And so I was one of his first customers. But also importantly, I just fell in love with craft beer then. And I knew it would happen here because Australians have really good palates. We spoil it with wonderful wine, cheese, the best produce, the best fruits, the best meats. Terrible beer, at least when I was growing up, horrible beer.
Yep.
And that was the one exception. I was like, this will change, because it was the same in the US. I saw them, just that time I was there, people dropping their Michelobs and their Bud Lights and then drinking, Larry's beers and the Sierra Nevadas and, all these amazing...
With flavor in them.
With flavor and aroma. And I also, understanding what wine had done in Australia and seeing the same thing's going to happen to beer. And so I had this, I sort of had this business plan, but graduated with an economics business administration degree, no money, went into banking, did quite well there. And at one point I could see my life because I was a very young VP, and the other VP, I saw them in my late 20s, they were in their early 50s generally. So you could see your life, and it wasn't a bad life, it was very cushy, but it was just not something that excited me. Right. These guys weren't leaving anywhere, right? They were in sort of gilded cages because they had their $1 million packages, which meant they had $1 million mortgages, kids in private schools. It was wives who had their Tiffany account, and they weren't going anywhere.
Right.
I could leave, and I wasn't risking anything other than me, my future. As it turned out, as soon as I left, actually before I left Merrill Lynch, me and my girlfriend got married, and there was a honeymoon baby, so I went from cashed up single banker to married impoverished brewer, literally overnight.
Sounds like a recipe of a beer, so you could brew something around that, but...
That would have to be, it would be probably for my wife, and it would be a bitter sour because, right? Because she got absolutely so she got engaged to, a cashed up banker.
Yep.
But she married this really poor brewer, and it hasn't changed since. So yes, my wife's bitter sour, ends, starts sour, or starts sweet, ends up bitter maybe.
Right. But there's still a palatable flavor and bitterness. So
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I enjoy it. I love a bit of beer. My wife, maybe not so much.
Well, speaking of beers, we've got Rodney.
Yes.
2.0. Tell us about the AI beer.
Well, that's 1.0. So this is the very
1.0.
first one, right?
Right.
This is, I've been doing this now for nearly 18 years. This is the most excited I've been about a product. And it almost feels bad saying that because they're like my children, right? And so I'm almost on camera saying, yes, you're my favorite, you're my favorite. But this is super exciting because I really do think it's the future of not just beer, but small producers being able to compete and have, a say and a voice and a way to really exist. Because what we're doing with this beer is, I'll tell you a little bit about it, but I was super lucky. So we created a relationship with the Australian Institute of Machine Learning. Now this group, second highest rated institution in the world for computer visual. It's insane that they're here in Adelaide. Google, Amazon, Microsoft, right? These are these partners that have come here to work with these guys because they are the best at what they do. And it's insane that, their partners are now Google, Microsoft, Amazon, Apple, Barossa Valley Brewing. It's insane. So we were able to create a neural network with them that scoured the world, 260,000 recipes, IPAs specifically, trained itself. We worked with the computer scientists to actually, create this neural network, which would create beers in our style. So, and then it taught itself, created another 200,000 recipes, narrowed it down to 20. We chose one, we brewed it. So we didn't create this recipe really, we chose the recipe, but we helped create a neural network that created the recipe. And the amazing thing about that is, like you showed that QR code, what we'd love everybody to do is find the beer. It's the Rodney. It's available most places, a lot of places in Adelaide, but also getting out nationally. If you scan the QR code and then it'll rate the beer, there's just 5 quick questions. The AI will take your feedback and then change the recipe. So we're almost out of this beer. We're brewing it again in about a month's time. So we really want to get as much data, because the more data we get, the better the neural network will get and the AI will get in making the beer, improving the beer, right? It's a radically different way to do this. And I think a lot of people, and I was scared, like, are we handing over this passion and this, this love, like all the stuff that makes us special, to this computer? And I wasn't really sure of the answer to this, but now being involved with the process, that's not what happens. What happens is we are able to use AI to leverage our skills. So if the computer was just going to brew a beer, I guarantee, like, it would have brewed a beer, like, okay, brew a beer that sells the most. It would have tasted like Tsingtao, right? It would be a bland lager, because that's what sells the most. Now, I mean, this beer, everybody who tries is like, oh yeah, this is a Barossa Valley Brewing beer. It's quite aromatic, it's quite big, it tastes like one of our beers. It smells like one of our beers. And the more feedback we get from our customers, I think it can even more, because what we do is we brew beers we love, but also that our friends and our fans love. Right? That's what makes our beer special. That's the heart, that's the soul, that's the passion, and it's baked into this neural network, right? So I'm not worried about that anymore, and I think this is the future, because right now, small producers are finding it really hard to compete with the big guys. They've got all the money, they're collecting all the data, right? It's impossible to compete. And what we're showing is, you don't need to be Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos to collect data, use that data to create efficiencies to scale. And if we can do this, and we're a tiny little brewery, anyone can do it.
Yeah. I think too, also, it's like a lot of things today, everyone has their, I guess, 2 cents to add of what they think is good and bad about a product. You're essentially allowing them to help, like the community, to help craft something that everyone enjoys. So really, you're listening, and the AI is listening, to all the beer enthusiasts and everyone who's drinking it, to say, all right, we'll take that on board, we'll make that modification. But also, it's only giving you the recipe. It's still humans who are adding the ingredients and making sure everything's going correctly. So the AI is only, as you said, assisting and in helping improve certain aspects that benefit everybody. So
You're absolutely right. I mean, what we do as brewers is, we look at hops and malts and yeast, and we go through as much as we can, but we can't go through. The AI went through 460,000. We can't do that, right? But what it can do is it can do that, distill that information, give us 20 and go, okay, right? It can take, and we also teach it to know what's important as well. So it absolutely allows us to do what we do, but better. So yeah, it's really, really super exciting.
You're setting the parameters as well. It's not actually generating a beer completely AI. No. It's assisting. So
yeah. And what you said about bringing everybody in, because I don't want to minimize the importance of AI and the risks, right? Because a lot of what's happening is these big companies are creating products, and then they use AI to understand how to influence your purchasing patterns, right? So they go, okay, we're going to spend a lot of money on this product, and we're going to use AI to know where you're going, what you want to do, and tweak your behavior so that it fits in with what they want.
Right.
AI can be flipped, right? So you can get on this and go, hey, I like this and this and this, and we can do that, and we can give you what you want, as opposed to figuring out how to manipulate so that you don't even know what you're buying. Why am I drinking this? I don't even like this. I'm confused. Oh, well. And because you'd be scared and amazed and how much of behavior is influenced by social media, by what's on TV, by all this stuff around you, and corporations are taking all this data and going, okay, we just need to push these buttons and we're puppets.
Yeah.
But AI doesn't need to be like that. No. It can be democratized, right? So that we say, this is what we want, we collect that data, and because we were having this discussion, what's our competitive advantage, right? I think small craft breweries in Australia have two competitive advantages. One, we have better product than the big guys. We have more passionate customers, right? Yeah, we want to listen to you guys. We want you to get involved. We want you to be involved in the process. The problem is, as humans, we can't listen to 10,000 people,
right.
But the AI can, right?
Yeah.
So it's amazing. It's an amazing new world. I'm really excited.
Yeah,
it's fascinating.
Yep.
It really is.
It's fascinating.
It really is. We're also talking before as well. If your AI project starts taking self-awareness, it could be coming out with beers that will mind control the customers to buy more beers. Or no, okay.
Well, that's what the big bad guys, I'm sure, will do. The big boys will figure out.
You crush the can and it just uncrushes itself like the Terminator. But
turns into Skynet.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
All right. Your passion for this is amazing. It's awesome.
Oh, thank you.
It's cool.
What I would say is, what is your favorite brew style? What's your favorite type of beer?
I mean, it does vary, but again, I can remember, picking up a Sierra Nevada Pale Ale and cracking it and going, oh my God, what is that, right?
One was Sierra Nevada too.
Yeah, it's a lot. And one of my proudest moments was, so we were at the Australian International Beer Awards, which is the second largest beer awards in the world. And our Hop Heaven does really well there, and it, regularly picks up gold. And it was we were very lucky. We had the same distributor at that point as Sierra Nevada. So, oh my God, I'm drawing a blank here. This is really embarrassing. The owner of Sierra Nevada.
Ken Grossman.
Ken Grossman, thank you very much. Oh my gosh. So he's one of those OGs that I was, really lucky to meet. And so, this was, like I said, one of my proudest moments. We were, I was talking, he was sitting right next to me. I was like, oh my gosh, Ken Grossman. And I started talking to him, and I was like, and it was like him and Larry and so on and so forth. Those are the guys that, why I have a brewery. And so I was telling him this, and he was very polite and a lovely man. I was saying, the reason I have a brewery is because, in the US, and even before that, because I was traveling so much, and my last year of high school was in the American Embassy School. We got these American beers in, and most of them was horrible beers, but then the Sierra Nevada came in. So I was 18, I was like, oh my God, what the hell is that? That's amazing. So I told him the story. I said, from that, right, I was like, okay, well, I started a brewery. And he was very polite, but he told me afterwards, I've heard this so many times, right? So many people said, oh my God, I've started a brewery because of you. What changed the conversation was when they put up the gold medal winners, like, oh, and gold, hop heaven, blah, blah, blah. And he was in that car. He's like, oh, you beat us. I was like, oh, you should have been here last year. I beat you as well, right? And they bring around the gold medal winning beers. And he's like, oh my gosh. And then he started talking to me. He's like, so what hops, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And suddenly my credit just went up because I can remember having a chat to Frank from Pricing Point. He's like,
Yep.
how do you know Grossman? Like, I was like, oh, he's just a fan of my beer, right? I was like, yeah, no, I can introduce you. Don't worry. And so it was a great night, right? But it was that style of beer, I love that. Like, I love hop because it was so radically different to what I grew up with in Australia, right?
Of course.
So I love that style, and it's great. I was able to, Ken's a lovely man. Went down and to his brewery, showed us around. It's amazing what he's done. He's one of those few people, and this is what I talked to him about as well. It's like, you're one of the few people that have been able to grow and stay independent. That is so unusual. So, and what I realized talking to him is he's the exception to the rule.
Yeah.
So, what I've been thinking about is how do I do this? Because, he's like, you can count on one hand and have fingers left over. How many people can do what Ken has done, right? Grow like that and stay independent.
He's done well because he's even, it's fascinating.
Yeah.
So he's massive, he's still independent.
Yep.
And he's even doing stuff like CO2 harvesting and reusing CO2, and it's like all environmentally friendly.
Yeah.
It's really a pioneer.
Oh, absolutely. He definitely sort of creates the model where everybody should be. He sets the bar. It's impressive.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I guess one thing that I'm really keen to revisit from many years ago is I can't believe it's not bacon. The flavor is just insane. I remember the bar tender gave me like a little sample when I was here 8 years ago, whatever it was, and I was blown away by that. That was originally one of your core beers, is that right?
No, it was never a core beer. So we've always, and this is one of the things I'm super proud of, that I had a little say, a little bit of input in this, because again, when we started, 2004, 2005, breweries didn't take huge risks. There were a few, but I think, it was definitely not me. The Mountain Goats and so on and so forth were all started to experiment, and we threw ourselves into experimenting like mad. And it terrified the brewers. And I remember that bacon beer, it was called our Barossa Smoke, because it's a Rausch beer, and we take it to Steiny's around the corner. They do very good metwurst and bacon, and we basically just brewed. We smoked the malts exactly like they smoke their metwurst and bacon, right? Yeah. So when we brewed it, I can remember brewing, oh my God, we're going to have this forever because this is just so bizarre, right? Nobody's going to drink this. And I was like, don't worry about it. They might end up drinking at that point with the Beasting, which is a honey wheat beer that was very approachable. They might end up drinking the Beasting, but they'll talk about the smoke beer at this point. And what was really interesting, and you just don't know how the market's going to react. What happened with that beer was really interesting. I kept having these discussions with vegetarians, right? And it was called out Barossa Smoke, right? And they'd come up to me like, is there any meat in this beer? I was like, no. I was like, what would you? I was like, why does it smell like bacon? And you want to say, well, if you're a vegetarian, how do you know what bacon smells like? But I wouldn't. I was like, well, bacon smells like pigs aren't smoky, right, by nature. You never see a pig in a farm just, with a Cuban, right? That never happens. What happens is pigs, after, they go meet their maker, they are smoked at places like Steiny's. That absorbs all that smoke, and then when it's cooked, you taste that. Exactly the same with the beer. All the malt absorbs all that smoke, and when we brew with it, it all comes out in the glass. So okay, so there's no bacon, there's no meat in this. I'm like, no. And sweet, right? And they loved it, right? So because there's two types of vegetarians, and I sort of go in and out with
Yeah.
vegetarianism a little bit, but there's those that do it for, health reasons and ethical reasons. And those are the guys that, wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning with Macca's wrappers all over the place, right? There's those types that really don't like the taste, right? But those ones that like do it for health and ethical reasons and environmental reasons, that bacon beer is wonderful for them. Like they have their alcohol and their bacon fix combined.
It's guilt-free.
Right?
Guilt-free.
It's guilt-free.
Yeah.
And so they're like, this is sweet, awesome. And so we changed it from, because everybody's, but we actually struggled, and it was actually a good food beer. Like it was really interesting to match that with food. We do a lot of beer versus wine dinners, so I think these are all sold out, and I don't know when this is coming out, but we do for Fringe, a beer versus wine. We're doing this in Treasury 1860, which is an amazing venue. We challenge 5-star James Halliday rated wineries. We match beers, they match wines against the same dish. I talk about why the beer's the better match. They get all like upset and say, no, wine's better, of course. And it's a bit of a Punch and Judy show because we go at each other and then everybody votes after each round as to which is the best match. Great night. And the bacon or the smoked beer is really good for that, right? It really is different and it gets people to really think. But it is super, super niche. And I never thought, like when the brewer's like, we're going to have this forever, I never thought, oh, don't worry, vegetarians are going to drink it all. That's not what I thought at all. So it is still really niche, and I'd say most people really dislike it, right? But still, I don't mind, like, because I'd much prefer, there's a really fine line between love and hate. And I think when you're pushing people's palates, I'd much prefer 5% of the population to be, oh my God, this is amazing, and 95%, yeah, no, it's not for me. Then for 95% of the population to go, yeah, I could drink that. Like that's soul destroying. If, we go, yeah, okay, I could drink that. I was like, oh, we got to go back to the drawing board there, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, the bacon beer is an example of that.
It's very memorable. As I said, I remember drinking it here. And I reckon that was probably before I was even into drinking craft beer. And for them to give that to me, my mind exploded. I'm like, how is this even possible? I think they said something like, I don't know, they smoked ham or something, and they gave me some story. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. Drank it, and I haven't forgotten it. So I'm really glad. It's on tap here, isn't it?
Actually, it's not. Now it's on cans. We've run out of taps, unfortunately.
That's all right. I'm definitely taking a 6-pack or 4-pack, whatever it is. It's a memorable beer for me. So.
You don't shut up about it, I'll be honest.
Yeah, I've mentioned it many times through the years. So.
And that's great. That's exactly what I told the brewer. It's like, don't worry. Like, we'll have people that'll talk about it. Like, one of the best events I was ever at, it wasn't the best, but it was also very memorable. The South Australian Tourism Commission sponsored this thing where Barossa went to Sydney and just brought Barossa produce. And I brought the bacon beer, and also Steiny's was there. And I was able to, like, when people came in, I was like, hey, can you blindfold some of them? And then Steiny's came up with their meat platter, and I came up with the beer. And I said, listen, no, don't taste anything, just smell this. And like, what? It's meat. And then they take the bite. That's a beer? And it was amazing. Like, almost literally 80% of it immediately just got on the phone and went, you have to get over here. This is insane. Yeah. Because I guess when you see it, you go, okay. But when you don't see it and you're just smelling, and then they're like, oh my God, that's a beer. And then they taste it, and they got straight on their phones like, you have to get over here. This is insane. Yeah. There's a beer that smelled exactly like the meat platter. You have to get over here and try this.
I'm questioning all my life decisions right now.
Yeah.
All right. So how long have you been in this location? So you said you started officially about 2005. I think you said something like that. So how long have you been in this particular location, or were you somewhere else before this?
Yeah, so we were at Chateau Yildar in Lindok, which is just down the road. This is when we had a relationship with McGuigan Simeon Wines, which we don't anymore, but they gave us a site. On paper, this was really good. They said, we'll give you a site, we'll do all the sales, marketing, distribution, just brew. We need X amount of beer, which is like 100% of our capacity. Just brew it, we'll do all the work. I was like, sweet, that's easy. It didn't work out. And so I had to take the brand off them, start all over again. So we went from the great grape glut in 2005-06 when we started, which is why McGuigan Simeon then fell into really hard times. Then we were like, okay, we were negotiating with them. We had to exit. that went straight into the GFC. You know, it was, you know, I had hair when I started
They taxed
this.
your hair as
right,
well.
exactly. So yeah, we were there. We moved here. I had my 40th here, so that would have been over just about 10 years ago. So it would have been 2011, 2012. We were here. I think we officially moved here 2011.
Yeah.
And I was going to say, I remember seeing something on social media about a 50th birthday. I wasn't sure because we look at you and I don't see.
believe it.
No. I was actually
believe
saying
it
to
at
Jake
all.
in the car earlier, you have a similarity to Tom Morello from Rage Against the Machine. You've got that look. If you just had a
yeah, I'll
flatter
take that.
brim on your hat and a guitar, I reckon you could pass double
Okay,
game.
I can grab the flat brim hat, but the guitar. Thank you. I'll take that. You know,
But 50 years, it's an achievement.
it's good beer.
So what sort of capacity are you doing at the moment? Probably yearly, I guess. I don't know.
We're at about 250,000 liters. We're maxed out, but
Yeah.
actually, so I'm hoping, fingers crossed, next week we get 2 more tanks, and the week after that, hopefully 2 more tanks. So, yeah, the plans are actually here to redevelop this site and make this more retail space, almost like Lot 100. So,
Right.
Yep.
get in a couple more good producers, make this more a pilot system, and then we've got a really good relationship with Barossa Enterprise. So they find work for people with mental and physical disabilities. So what we do here is we actually just package everything, but then they're just up the road. We send it over there. They do all the labeling, packaging. They're just a really good group to work with. It adds $1.50 to a carton. But frankly, it's a really good way to engage the community. And they're just a really good group of people to work with. And actually, I think that $1 and a bit actually adds more value. They're really good at simple things. Like if the rinser goes off and like we'll take those cans and like if we miss some, they pick it up. If there's a dent we miss, they're really, really good like that. So it's an extra QC. But also they're really interested in us expanding there because I've always said I want to go with them, not out of them. So we would then move the production facility up the road here, and this would be a pilot facility where we would do our testing, but also gins and whiskeys and a
Maybe
winery.
A bit more
and-
experimental.
yeah, very much like Lot 100, right?
Yeah.
Just having a few producers come in here and make this a mecca for, you know, we've got Barossa Beverage Company that's doing ciders and seltzers. We want to do a hard iced tea, you know, stuff like that. So
I'm down for that.
Yeah.
And also speaking of the, I guess, once again, community, I saw that you guys also helped with the donation of the keg or beer to get people more into the city.
yep.
I guess tell us how that is going with all the SA breweries all trying to chip in.
Yeah, I don't know who started it. Was it Suburban or like?
I reckon it would have been.
I actually don't know.
I remember seeing the Gilbert Hotel. They were the ones one of the first to get some of
Yeah.
those kegs. I can't remember. It might have been Little Bang or.
I don't know. I know Little Bang did it but he thanked. Anyway, it was a great idea. I was like,
Someone deserves credit.
So
We
somebody
just can't
does,
name
we
them.
can't name him, but no, it's great. And this is the wonderful thing about it. And you know, we're talking about leaving investment banking to brewing. This is sort of why. Like during the GFC, like nobody was going, oh, that poor Merrill Lynch. We should go like
Let's give him something.
little Johnny's piggy bank because they didn't deserve it. And like, but the brewers were okay. These guys that support us have been supporting us. Because the city venues are really, really, really struggling. So to do one at the King's Head, I've just dropped off a keg, and we'll do another little post to get people down to Treasury.
Yeah.
With Sale, you know, we'll do. So we've identified like 3 venues that have been regularly just supporting us, and so
You want to return the favor.
we want to return the favor.
Yeah.
So
And basically, just people need to go down there, buy a beer.
that's it.
All just helps them out, keeps them afloat.
Exactly. So what we'll do is we'll give them a keg, and we'll just say, here, just go drink it. That's it.
Yeah.
You don't have to do anything else. And yeah, it'll really help these guys. Because also these venues that we're targeting are really community-based venues. So, you know, they all do stuff very much. Like a lot of them have been supporting artists. Like we have live musicians here, but honestly, one of the first things we did is we said, crap, when we can't, our capacity has gone down to from 75 to 25%, we just can't afford this. So we had to scale that back. A lot of these venues went, these artists are hurting as well. So what we did is like, okay, how do we tweak this? And so what we did is said, okay, here, what we'll do is we'll reduce your what we pay you, but we'll also give you a cut of all sales. So we're sharing that a little bit. And then we tell everybody, here, buy stuff because the artist is getting that. Yeah. And so they've been able to then get as much as they'd get normally because it's topped up by sales.
Right.
But, we had to think about ways just to be viable. And a lot of these venues were just, well, okay, just like how we're supporting these venues, the venues like these artists have been supporting us, so they continue to support them.
Yeah.
So again, it's just this virtual cycle. If they're supporting us, we can give them a bit of beer. It allows them to continue to support these artists.
And then later down the track, it all goes back to the way that it was.
Yeah. Because it's what the customers want, right? The reason, like the community wants live music and all this stuff. So they're doing this for the community. So yeah, just go have a beer.
King's Head, is that the one that's on King?
It's on the corner of Sturt and King William.
Yeah. So I remember they were selling like exclusively South Australian beers. And I guess pre-COVID, I remember going there and their tap selection was awesome. Good prices and all that. And then I remember seeing them on the news that they were having to close down at one point. And it's good. That is a very good venue to go to.
Well, that is a brilliant venue. And so I don't know if you know this, but yeah, they closed down. They actually went into receivership, right? And so the new owners, this South Australian family, really the dad is always behind the bar. His two sons are there. His partner, she's always in the back doing the books. Sisters are always, at the tables. It's really a family. It's a family endeavor. And they bought it just before COVID, because it would have been like, I can remember having so many discussions with craft brewers going, oh my God, the King's Head, it's an icon, it's an SA icon. Yeah. And they've supported South Australian brewers, and it's such a pity that it's gone. And it's amazing this family's come in. They came in during COVID, but really gutsy, and they're working really, really hard and doing amazing things. Pizzas there are insane now.
They are.
He originally Italian. The guy's actually really interesting, Pat. Shout out to Pat. He super interesting guy. So he was an Olympian. He was a professional bike rider, like a cyclist.
GP?
No, a cyclist in Europe, right? So he was on the pro circuit there. Yeah, like I said, represented Australia in the Olympics. Also then had another business that was quite successful. So, he's older than I am by a bit, and he's gone, I'm going to do this now. I'm going to buy this and bring, this back to life.
Wow.
Italian heritage. He now does these amazing pizzas. He's got this amazing, wood fire pizza oven there. Does amazing stuff. Uses our beer to do the dough for the pizzas. It's just, he does amazing stuff. So if anybody hasn't gone to the King's Head since the new owners have come in, highly recommend it.
Definitely. Cool. Sounds like gold medals all around. So, but yeah.
Awesome. All right.
Well, I guess where is Barossa Valley going to be heading next? Like what is in the future for you guys?
Yeah, so I'm super excited about the future. So we're obviously working with the Australian Institute of Machine Learning and trying to embed AI into our processes. Like, I think we are maybe the only brewery in the world with access to a neural network that we help create. Like, that's special.
Are you just going to do that with an IPA, or are you going to try with a different style?
Definitely different style. Yep. So we want to do a stout come winter, and we'll have a range of AI beers. And like, I don't want to prejudge anything, but like, I can see this being how we develop our beers, right? If it makes the beers better, and there are beers, then I can see this being embedded into our process.
It's going to be hard to improve on that. It's pretty good.
Oh, thank you.
It's very good.
Thank you.
The only thing I had in the back of my mind is what other meats can it emulate apart from just the bacon? You've got the salmon beer, or you know.
Yeah, we could. Yeah. Oh, well, we'd have to go like, I don't know, maybe we go all trendy. We go quinoa or whatever, like quinoa and kale, right?
Well, you've got vegans and you've got the vegetarians. You need one for both.
Right,
so.
exactly. So so we're doing that. We are, like I said, we're going to be redeveloping the site into. Again, I was having a chat with Mark Huber from Mismatch, and again, the community is really open, and we're like, hey, you guys did an amazing job there. We want to do the same thing. It was really open about like saying, okay, this is how I do it. Now, this is the things I'd change, right? So we want to do that. We're going to be talking to some really good producers and bringing them in here. So that's really exciting. But also what's really exciting is, I was talking to you guys, we're developing this platform where it's called Agora. Agora, the etymology of Agora is in ancient Roman times. The Agora was the marketplace where you met your producer. It's also where Socrates, Plato would philosophize, or where players are held. So it's really the community center. And this is what we want to do. We want to create that virtual community. And we're going to do this we're going to launch this thing where you can go to the King's Head or Treasury, or you can go to Regions, a bottle shop, and buy your beer, either go home and post about it, or do it at the venue, and you get points. You do that 3 times. We'll send you a voucher, say, thank you very much for doing that. You've supported us. You've supported the venue where you bought the beer. Thank you very much for that. Here's a free beer, right? Now, by doing that, you then take that beer back to that venue, and the venue then gets compensated for that beer. So basically, I'll be completely upfront. What we're doing is we are paying in beer to our customers to be our sales and marketing people, right?
Nice.
And what we're doing with that then is we're engaging you, because the more we can engage you, the more information you can give us, because then we'll have another place where we can start rating all these beers. We can take all that data, we can plug it into the AI, and we can really get our customers involved in helping move the brewery. So your question to me is, where do you think Barossa Valley Brewing will go? The question to you is customers and fans, like, where do you think we go? Because AI and our ability to engage you really drives where the brewery goes, right? And I think this is the really amazing thing with AI, and what we're hoping to do is the big guys will spend millions of dollars creating a product, and then spend millions of dollars telling you why you need to drink that product. We can flip that. AI allows us to engage with you, and you say, yes, we're part of this journey, and then collaboratively, we create what we want to be drinking.
Yeah.
So,
and then also there's a reward along the way to obviously, recognize the, the customer and the community, to say, thanks, here you go, keep up helping us and basically shaping where you want us to go.
Absolutely. I mean, I much prefer, because really right now, everything that I said in terms of, selling, marketing, collecting data, all the big guys do this. How they do this, though, is they will spend $100,000 on a research firm to go, okay, do this survey, find out what, people are thinking, what people are buying. Then they will spend millions of dollars on marketing, and then they'll spend millions of dollars on sales guys, right? We can't do that. We have to find a smarter way to do this. And I think the Agora platform, which engages our customers, plus the neural network, allows us a scalable platform to suddenly compete with the big guys. And if we can do that, then suddenly we have a pathway so that, it's not just the Ken Grossmans, it's the Denham De Silvas, it's the Dans from Swells, it's the Franks and Carinas. Like, we can all say, yes, we want to stay independent, we want to grow, because here's a platform to do so.
Yeah.
So will this just be focused on you to begin with, then bring in other breweries as you get bigger and bigger?
Absolutely. So we're just testing the platform with us, but very quickly we'll bring in other producers. So gin, we've already talking to gin, whiskey, wine, but we will bring in other beers as well.
Yep.
When we launched this, initially we had 16 producers. We're scaling this back just to test this and making it really simple, but very soon we'll bring other producers in.
Cool.
Excellent. Sounds very exciting.
Yeah. We'll definitely have give it a crack when it comes around.
Well, I mean, if you look at Instagram, there are pages, ours included, dedicated to sharing what is good. So if you're already doing that now, imagine the influence you have in this sort of space. You will get more of what you like.
Yeah.
I don't see a downside to any of it. So.
No. I mean, people love telling us what they think of the beer, and we actually love hearing it. It's just really hard to take that and action everything, right? One, you don't hear all of it, so a lot of it on platforms and forums that we never see. And even if we did spend all our time, we just can't, our simple human monkey brains can't, right? But we can create a platform where all of your data and opinions, which are really valid, affect us and help us make decisions, which is great.
So when we see you at your 100th birthday and you still look the same, we know that he's had this same neural network put through his own body. And
I'll be a robot
AI.
then. Yes, exactly. Yeah.
That's all we can hope for.
Yeah.
That's all we can hope for.
Well, thank you for sitting down and having this chat with us.
No
It's
worries.
been really good.
It has, and it's been a trip down memory lane for me, so I've really enjoyed it. My stomach's telling me I need some non-bacon bacon beer, and it's been very informative. I'm very excited to see where it all goes, and I might chuck a few bacon suggestions into old Rodney here on the IPA suggestion.
Yeah, so that'll be what's referred to as an outlier. Yeah, in the comments, more bacon in this IPA. Like, what? Okay.
But don't forget, you can also grab one of those, tell Denham what you want changed, or tell Rodney.
Yeah.
And the other thing I was going to say too, it just happened to come out near the Matrix release, right? And we've got, this is non-copyrighted here, but the can artwork is reminiscent of that movie. But
so you know what? We are still running a competition. So in there's all this like code. So there's like,
there's all like characters and
so there's there's Barossa Valley Brewing, love a beer. There's some of the developers' names in there. So there's some names.
Oh, good old Chris.
Chris was one of the students who helped.
Oh, yep, yeast.
Yeast is in there. Well, you hope so.
Right. So we're actually running a little comp. Whoever jump on our Facebook page and say, here, these are whoever finds the most, we'll send you beer.
Cool. Sounds good. So yet again, it's already being rewarded by helping out.
Yep. So it's a little word puzzle. It's a little find a word puzzle while you're drinking. So
there is a lot going on here.
There is, yeah. We'll have to have a bit of a nosy through later on.
I'm seeing it all now.
But thanks once again, and thank everybody to listening and watching our channel. Yeah. Let's
have some lunch and stuff. Beer. Yeah.
Sounds good. Cool. Thank you very much.
Cheers, guys. Thanks.
Cool. Welcome to Barossa Valley Brewing tasting part. We've got quite a few beers to go through, but we'll only select some of the core beers to taste test today.
Yeah, we've got the Summer Session, the Aussie Pale, the Hop Heaven IPA, and Paulie's favourite, the Peanut Butter Milkshake Stout.
My favourite. What shall we go first? Aussie?
Let's start with the session.
Yeah,
we'll work our way up.
Yep.
All right. It's not COVID times, people.
No. Well, it's good to see a whole bunch of people out today. So.
I like that.
Good.
It's light, easy drinking. Still tastes like beer.
Super clean.
It's clean.
But it has a nice sweet smell to it.
It does.
I do like that.
We'll have a little bit more.
Very, very appropriate for the type of temperature we've got at the moment too.
It's only a casual 30-something degrees.
Yeah.
Aussie Pale Ale. Do you want to go first this time?
Sure. Bready. It's actually really smooth. Like, it's not a huge mouth hit on it. It's got that malty, bready smell. Bit malty on the taste, but
Smells malty.
it's actually got a nice sweet bitterness, but not overly bitter either. Like it's just smooth. You agree? That's really good.
That is really good. That's, once again, something perfect for a day like today, where it'd probably be a little bit heavier than the session, which I'd say be sitting around 3.5.
Yeah, massively.
All right,
Go to the Hop Heaven, your favourite?
One of my favourites.
Yeah.
Ooh.
You feeling it?
Ooh.
Like you remember it?
It's quite sweet and sweet malty as well.
It's got an unusual, like, I don't know, I can only explain the taste with brightness. Like, it's very,
Brightness, that's not the...
no, I know it's not a way to explain it, but it's like, the flavour is more explosive on this, I think. That's really good. Almost don't even need to try the next beer. I've consumed many peanut butter chocolate stouts.
It's almost like a bit of caramel.
It's really nice.
Yeah. I'll finish that a little bit.
Wow, might as well. And then the piece
I
of
can't
resistance.
I can't get over the smell of this beer.
It's literally Reese's peanut butter cup. Peanut butter massively on the nose. Oh. Son of a bitch, we have a winner. It's undeniable.
That smell is undeniable, yeah.
Definitely, we are both peanut butter and chocolate fanatics, so it's hard to deny. I must say, though, Belching Beaver is very comparable.
I actually reckon this is better. Because it doesn't have to travel on the boat to get here.
Less travel time equals more flavour, I guess.
It's possible.
So what do you reckon? That's my vote, locked in. You gonna go it?
Yeah. No rock, paper, scissors.
No. It's all right, boys. You can relax. There you go.
Paul saved and
Yeah.
embarrassing defeat.
I did. I haven't won any of the rock, paper, scissors. We do have cornhole here that we could have attempted the tie break, but Barossa Valley, our entry to the Holy Ale quest for the Holy Ale, peanut butter and chocolate stout.
Yeah.
It's amazing. There's got to be more of them in Australia, I reckon. Actually, I must say, honourable mention to the chocolate coffee.
Yeah, that's what I was just looking at.
It is really, really good, like super cold brew. The chocolate is like a dark chocolate.
I don't get chocolate. I just get cold brew.
You just get cold brew?
Espresso.
Yeah.
Espresso.
But yeah, come and check these guys out. I want to say thanks to Denham for having us.
Been an absolute legend hosting us.
Yeah, and couldn't ask for better weather, enjoyable conversation,
Yep.
good beers, and we're waiting on a pizza. So looking forward to smashing that down.
And his story from going from investment banker to brewer was
I
an
know.
unlikely one.
It was.
Had to ask the question.
It was. So it's like the reverse rags to riches story. It was riches to rags, but then back to riches?
Who knows?
Who knows? But
Don't ask those questions.
no. And yeah, just enjoy the beers that come out of this place. So
Right, we're going to drink another 8 beers.
So we'll leave it at that.
We'll catch you next time.
Thanks again for watching and listening.
Easy.